Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today I wanted to share with you my 10 favorite leveling uniques. These are uniques that if you find while leveling, or if you found them in the end game and then want to level a new character, I would definitely recommend checking them out. Now some of them will only pertain to certain builds, but all of them are really good during the leveling process. So let's go ahead and begin. Number 1 is the Arboreal Circuit, and the Arboreal Circuit is very powerful. It is a silver ring implicit, which gives you increased movement speed, and then on it you also get increased movement speed for you and your minions, making the game, which feels really slow in the beginning of the game, speed up a lot. On top of that, every time that you get hit, there's a 10% chance to summon an illusionary tree, which basically has the taunt for the entire screen, and this can save your life more than once during the leveling process. Throwing on a couple of these bad boys will get you speed running through the campaign in early game really fast. Coming in at number 2, we have the Advert of the Erased Weaver Will unique. Now, these drop and can drop during the leveling process, and they gain a certain threshold of Weaver Will's points on them, anywhere from 1 to 28. If you roll as high as a 28, as you level with it, it will gain affixes and tiers to those affixes based on how many Weaver Will points you have. Every time a new affix or an affix is upgraded, it takes away a single point. If you have a level or a 28 point Weaver's Will, you will get 4 tier 7s on that item guaranteed. Knowing what those stats are going to be though is completely random, so leveling up with it and hoping to get good stats can make it into a very powerful item, especially if you get one that has like tier 7 move speed and tier 7 hybrid health on it. A definite really good item for leveling with. Coming in at number 3, we have the Bleeding Heart, and the Bleeding Heart is super powerful for almost any class that's going to be using Leech as their life sustain. It gives you less health regen, but it gives you a percent damage up to 9% of all the damage you do from any source as Leech for health, which is huge and really going to help you survive, especially early game, especially if you're not a build that has Leech through passives or skills and doesn't have any sort of life on hit. Now, the downside of this is you are inflicted with bleed every time that you cast a spell, but that's easily workaroundable, especially if you have, say, a tier 1 on a belt that cleanses every time you use a potion, or if you're going low life with 𝐁𝐮𝐲 and you're immune to bleeds anyway. Overall, a super powerful item for leveling up for life sustain, especially if you're in hardcore. Coming in at number 4, we have the Claw, which is one that I would kind of say is just for the Beastmaster, or really just for anyone who plans on running wolves, but it gives you a ton of health as well as flat added melee damage for your minions, and then you can summon your wolves up to the companion limit. This makes it extremely useful if you're playing Primalist and going with the wolf skill tree, to be able to summon to that maximum companion limit without having to use a bunch of points inside of the skill tree to get to that point to do the same thing. Another good one to give them a lot of extra damage as well, and can make the leveling process much better. Coming in at number 5, we have the Doublet of Onus Tull, and this is another minion unique, or at least I would register as that. It does give you a ton of flat health, which is great for the campaign, but on top of that, it gives your minions a percent chance to bleed on hit, and then it gives that bleed also a huge duration, which allows you to stack a lot of bleeds on enemies, which can turn any build that has minions into a good bleed build right off the bat in the campaign and feel really good through the campaign with that, and that's why I recommend it as number 5. If one drops early on and you're playing minions, I definitely recommend throwing it on for a bit. And then coming in at number 6, we have the Tome of Elements, and this gives you elemental damage leeches health, which is really nice. It's not a huge percentage, but if you're playing, say, a Rune Master or a Sorcerer or something doing an elemental spell, this is a good way to get life sustain. It also gives you a percent chance to chill, shock, ignite on any hit with your elemental skills, which is a good way to apply some ailments to the enemies as well. I always equip it whenever I play a sorcerer if I see it drop within the first few levels. It's good all the way through the campaign. Coming in at number 7, we have the Reach of the Grave, and this is another minion kind of specific unique. It's a one-handed wand, and this one gives your minions spells and bow attacks a bunch of increased damage, lets them leech a percentage of it, and then gives them increased spell and bow attack speed. It can make minions, especially since you can equip this at level 5 super early in the game, feel really good early on in case they were feeling mediocre. And then coming into the number 8 spot, we have the chest piece, the Falcon. And the reason I placed the Falcon on here is it gives you some dodge rating, which is really powerful early in the game, as it only takes a little bit of dodge to have a high percent chance to dodge, but that'll fall down as you get farther and further into the campaign and go into higher level areas. But the other thing is you have a percent chance on hit to gain 15% movement speed. Everyone knows that early on in the campaign that your movement speed is what feels the worst, so being able to get haste or to be able to get increased movement speed just based on hitting enemies is really nice to help you keep you going faster through the campaign. Coming in at number 9, we have the Keeper's Gloves, a pair of gloves that I really like to use, especially if I'm already playing a minion build, but any build at all that has melee attacks, you can throw these bad boys on and you'll have a 10% chance to summon a swarm of bees on every melee attack that you do. On top of that, it has an 8-second cooldown, but those bees, which I think you can spawn up to 8 or 9 of them at a time when it does proc, will be able to clear and kill enemies, especially in the early campaign for you, while you just keep running, which makes it feel really good. And last but not least, we have number 10, which is the Tongue of the Aberrant Seer. And I really like this one, especially if I'm playing like a Lich or a poison-based class, because if you throw one of these bad boys on, it's going to give you a chance to poison on every spell hit you do, but it's also going to give you increased poison damage, +1 to your poison skills, as well as some all attributes, and a % of your damage reflected. But if you're playing, say, Spirit Plague Lich, it really takes it to a whole new level, which is how much poison damage you do early on, and how much extra poison you're applying to enemies. So I really like this one. And that's my list of top 10 leveling uniques that I really enjoy. If I have them, I always throw them on my alts to level up with them. But if you find these while leveling a new character, definitely try them out. As always, stay safe and have a good one.